Dog's on here.
Yeah.
We live.
Yeah. We're live. We're live.
Hey,
With
hey there.
crickets.
Facebook.
Dougie's out the back.
Will's got to move over a little bit.
You want
Apparently, no, not from you two.
Rob.
a Will sandwich.
Yep.
So, g'day. Welcome to the Carpet Grass Club for Wednesday.
It's a Wednesday, correct?
There was a issue last night with not pointing any fingers at anyone as to why we couldn't do it last night, but Will was busy.
Eating steaks.
You bastard.
How good's the
I'm very jealous.
We'll go again.
Yeah.
Shall we go again?
Yeah, fanatic sesh.
Yep.
So, what's going on there? Who sent me that? People always send me stuff.
Check out the notes on it.
It's like on Fox Sports when they interview people and people FaceTime them while they're interviewing them.
Oh.
People do that to you to stitch them up.
Yeah.
Hilarious. Are we on tubes? Do you want me to try and look at that?
You can if you want.
Okay. Sorry.
G'day, Chris, and hello, Michelle.
Hi, Michelle.
G'day, crew.
Oh, hi, Shell.
Hi,
Sure.
other Shell.
Better. What?
Yeah. All right. So, where do we start? Well, normally we start with
Sport.
sport, which is, and Benny Cameron. G'day, Benny. So we won't talk about the football last weekend because yes, it was terrible. But Formula One in Melbourne this weekend.
Yep, I'm very jealous.
Very jealous.
That guy from
To-
work managed to score free tickets to the paddock.
Our man Nadine,
Yep.
he's there because he loves it like you wouldn't believe.
Yeah, good.
One of the guys who's in our F1 chat group, he works at the G.
Yep.
He's pretty excited. He's going down for a couple of sessions. So, yeah, it's all happening.
Yeah.
It's all happening.
What's been going on in
It's a
Wally's
big
world?
weekend of sport this weekend,
Yeah.
currently. Big
Predictions?
weekend. This weekend?
I just hope Dan Ricciardo finishes in the points.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, as long as Lewis crashes, a DNF would be great. That's all.
The ball
that's all I
of
can
flames.
ever
The
wish
ball of
for.
flames too much to
Yeah,
ask.
yeah, that's. Yeah.
Matty Alexander. Hello, Matty. Jeez, is it getting cold in Taswegia?
Ooh. I'd say so.
Yeah. I think I saw someone on the page had like sewn a Rylon like 3-4 weeks ago.
That was
In
probably
Tassie?
Shane Smith.
It looked quite dynamic. I thought it was
Matty-
quite... Holy carpet grass.
There's
Wow.
Wow.
Wow. Check out the leggy growth on this.
The leggy growth.
Isn't that a sign of what we've been seeing on the east coast of Australia?
Yeah, that's our carpet grass
It does respond well to what we've been
mascot.
seeing, which is cloud cover for, 8 days straight and then, hundreds and hundreds of millimetres of rainfall.
Matty runs a
Wow.
lawn and garden business in Tasmania.
Oh, nice.
And he did a lawn for someone recently that for a wedding,
Wow.
dried it and striped it up. Came up an absolute treat.
Nice. Nice.
I need a haircut. I reckon if I cut that and turn around and look back, I'll need to cut it again.
It's like your beard. It's like your beard, mate. You only need 4 days to grow it back.
Yeah, everyone's like, "Where's your
I
beard
just got
gone?"
it, I just
And then
got
they
it.
blinked and they're like, "What?"
That's
It's
right.
like-
Nelson's on.
Oh,
Evening,
Nelson.
mate.
Nelson, you got rain.
Rain, look out.
Mid-20s. What?
We're
What?
31 here today. 31.
Yeah, we're not on the.
I played.
We're not at Moonta Bay.
I played.
Munted Bay.
I played mini golf on the weekend
Did ya?
With Archdog.
with Archie, and it was, I think it was 28 on Saturday, so it was warm,
Yeah.
but it was still. Must have been about 40 degrees, so we played probably 8 holes, and then Archie overheated, and we had
Yeah.
to get off.
Should have got him on
Ready
the
to go.
schooners, mate.
Oh, no. Well, I got on the schooners. I was drinking for his girls, and it was like 11 o'clock in the morning. But it was a testament to
That's the dog.
another reason why we don't talk about artificial turf much on the page, because it's just too bloody hot to do anything on.
Yeah, it just gets so hot.
Yep.
Well, there've been. I've read reports where colleges and schools that have put it in for their sporting fields have actually been sued by parents whose kids have burnt themselves on.
Yeah, I can imagine. I remember playing on.
On art and the higher rate of injuries too.
Yeah.
NFL did some
Yeah, well, the
study.
traction, the rotational traction is much higher, which is basically if you put a boot in, there's less give than natural turf. So natural turf's got to have a lower breaking point, which means like the turf's going to break before your knee snaps, basically your ligaments in your knee. So
There's no one on the tubes.
There's 7 people watching.
We've got no one. One says 0.
Mine says 7.
Oh, that's all right. No one's commenting.
Mine's more up to date than yours.
Right.
But I remember 2015, the Women's World Cup. Both Michelle and I were working for STRI, and the head of the Aussie business at the time, he was one of the leading experts in artificial turf and pitch construction for artificial turf. And so he went over there because a lot of the pitches were artificial.
Yep.
And they were going through like one of their hottest summers ever. I think there was lots of bushfires and things in that year. But it was 50 degrees Celsius ambient air temperature, a metre above pitch level.
Wow.
So they had to entirely reschedule the whole Women's World Cup to like night games and stuff, so they could actually play the
I
tournament.
saw some of those aircon fields that you were talking about in Qatar the other day.
Yeah.
Oh, so...
Just mental. Are they going to be ryegrass or
Benny
lawn turf?
Cameron, he's onto it. He's straight onto it.
Rotation.
Don't you wait,
Are
mate.
they-
There's more coming.
Are they rye or are they warm season? Or the
In Qatar. So all the research, and we'll talk about turf research later, but all the research got done at this. It's owned by like the Sheikh of Qatar, and it's like called a Spire Zone, and there's actually like an R&D station, and it did all the research for how to construct and build the pitches, and then the STRI was like the consulting agronomist company that set and did all the R&D and pumped out all the reports and stuff. And what we were looking at was like, could you grow grass in the desert under those enduring conditions? The answer pretty much is no. You've pretty much got to create a really artificial scenario. You've got to have soil cooling.
Yep.
You've got to have fans, like keeping that cool, and then you've got to condition the ambient air temperature. And so you can actually grow ryegrass quite well in that climate. So those pitches will be pure ryegrass.
Yeah.
I saw a video
Yeah.
of them striping one of the fields up in preparation the other day, and it was definitely right.
Are they using mowies?
One section of them, these ones I saw were Allet ones,
Yeah.
but
They'll
Lukey
learn.
sent a whole heap to Qatar for that.
Early
I
on,
know a lot of the practice fields were mowies.
early on in the research, actually like a Cooch Kentucky Blue was looking really promising, but the speed of growth and recovery just wasn't enough.
Right.
Because when you do these tournaments, if people like, you reno your lawn, right? Having a FIFA tournament on a pitch surface, even though it looks like amazing, by the end of the game schedule, you might get 6 games in like 7 days or something.
It's destroyed.
It basically looks like you've renoed your lawn. Like that's what the surface looks. And so on TV it looks amazing. At pitch level, you're basically making a game over.
Well,
You know, like you're dead set. You're cutting the grass. You're not cutting the grass. You're basically running the reels down and rolling the grass over to present something that to the player's eye looks like it's safe. And the numbers show that it's safe. Like your traction, like your rotational traction. You also measure how hard that pitch is. Like the numbers show that it's safe. But it does also, like the presentation comes into
Well,
it.
you look when, like, if you have a normal golf course where there's not many pure scratch handicappers or below that don't divot the ball everywhere. You look at a golf course on the last day of a golf coverage, and there is divots for days in every location.
Yeah.
It's just because they're just tearing it up.
That's why they
because
have
what
such different tee.
yeah, broad spectrum of T locations.
Well, I think that, but also the size. Like people, it's easy like as a backyard greenkeeper to be critical of like people in the commercial greenkeeping.
I'm that
world.
guy in the
It's-
memes, eh?
Because it's so
Easy to be, but you really don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, because when you go and play at like even a park golf course, you have no awareness on how many rounds of golf get played at that course, and even like there's you look at some of these US courses, the tees are 4 or 5 times the size of the average golf course you play, so they can move, like you say, they can move the tee a little bit away from where all the damage has been done.
Yeah, so your first shot lands nowhere near what's damaged.
Yep.
and you start using a different area.
And on the other side of the coin, the size of the green is so much larger than
Oh.
most other golf courses. Like I'm talking like some of these big kind of like that Texas Open that was the other week.
Phoenix one.
Like I
Well,
haven't.
1,500 square metre greens.
Yeah, and it's probably 1.5 hectares, whereas the average 18-hole golf course, some of them are just below a hectare, and so on average you're about 350 square metre per green, versus something that's double, if not triple that size, which means there's a few things going on. One thing, you can fight encroachment, so like a common or a hybrid Bermuda grass growing into your greens grass Bermuda, or your bent grass, or you can fight the so you can stop that. If that does happen on a small green, you lose areas, or you lose kind of angles on hitting into that green, and so you lose where you can put the flag.
Yeah.
And so that's an issue that you're faced with. So like, scalability, like thinking a golf course is just going to be like, and we're in Augusta week, so it's probably the perfect time to talk about it. Thinking everything's going to be like Augusta is just like,
So fake.
you're living in a cloud.
That place is only open 6 months a year.
Yeah, because probably, actually, yes, it gets damaged so much that they shut it down and they basically start again the week following.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's pretty wild.
I love
So-
Michelle's doing all that dirty work in
Yeah,
the comments
question
while we're
from
talking.
Scott. Michelle sort of answered, but would you stay away from overseeding with rye on Tiff Tuff that's only been down for 9 months? She says not necessarily.
Yeah, I think
It's
you're
got a pretty aggressive root system.
Yeah, you're pretty
It
safe.
probably just depends how long it's taken to establish that root system.
Yeah. The only thing that I'd be wary of is the rate you go at. I'm not sure where Scott is, but from what we see up here as an example is
He's in Brisbane.
okay, Brizzy. Okay,
I stalked him.
you can grow warm season grasses pretty much, I reckon, 10 months of the year, relatively 9 months of the year, well, maybe 11 months of the year, relatively well.
Up here.
Yeah,
Yeah, we only have winter on a Thursday.
yeah. And so when you oversow ryegrass, even if you do it now, it comes into maturity, say, or maturity by ryegrass standards, like with enough tillers by about mid-July, and then August it really like comes into its own. But if you water it and manage it like it's ryegrass ahead of cooch, that'll hang in till the start of December.
Yeah.
And so the danger is, if you do
It
oversow,
outcompetes.
yeah, it outcompetes. So you've got something that's shadowing the cooch for a long period of time, and cooch will become active come October time. But you've got something that's got more density, more cover, shading it.
It's got to get through that rainforest, doesn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and you've got space competition, but also like it does. The studies show that it takes between 2 to 3 years for rye to get endophytes. Endophytes is they breed it into rye, and a lot of rye that's kind of has all the good traits is quite high in endophytes, because endophytes attribute to things like drought tolerance, they attribute to things like wear tolerance, they attribute to things like reduced pest attack, so armyworm won't feed on them as much. But it takes 2 to 3 years for a rye plant to build up endophytes. But what they do know is that endophytes are allelopathic.
I've been on a few endophytes in my life
Yeah,
too.
yeah, but by allelopathy I mean like the plant produces a toxin that inhibits the growth of other plants around it. And so if you leave rye in there for long periods of time. So short answer, yes, you can do it. On the flip side of the coin, think about how you're going to take it out
Is it
come
really-
springtime.
yeah, is it
And do you
really
need to do it?
Is carpet grass really a turf variety? Yeah.
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 Who the hell do you think you
Well,
are, pal?
It's not. It's a. It's essentially not a variety. It's actually a. It's a common name. Broadleaf carpetgrass is a common name, and then obviously it's a species name. So it's actually never been. It's never been made into a cultivar, which is a cultivated variety. So it's never actually been. No one's ever taken this and gone, hang on, I'm going to create a better version of that and make a cultivated variety and sell it as Carpetgrass Club Carpetgrass.
Carpet grass cutter.
Yeah, Carpetgrass cutter. Yeah,
Yeah.
like So it's essentially no, it's not a turf variety. It's actually a common name,
Yeah.
and it's just openly accessible.
Ben Cameron.
You've had an extra day to prepare, and you're on fire. All right. So while you're talking about no one's ever gone and tested that stuff, we'll have a quick chat about testing, I suppose. 'cause-
People have tested that stuff. Like people do test that.
Well,
stuff.
obviously they'll do
test
herbicide testing on it and stuff. like that,
Unbeknownst to the fanatics, like a lot of testing gets done on grasses that they go. So like you pick up a herbicide label or a chemical label, what it's registered for, but also the weeds controlled.
It'll have carpet grass in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or someone like I've had experience testing herbicides for damage on carpet grass, because what we want to know is, one, will it kill it, or two, will it kill it in another grass?
Yeah.
So are you trying to remove it, or are you trying to keep it
and kill
and
something
remove
else.
something else? And so
Yeah.
testing gets done on grasses more than you know, and the way you can work it out is just by reading chem labels and go, oh really, they tested it on this.
Yeah.
You know.
Instead of Wally reading the Bible, he reads
So
chem
I got-
labels.
As I get quite regularly to magazines,
Yeah.
people send me turf
Here's
magazines.
one.
Here's
Yeah,
one
there's
from
there's
the.
plenty of these. So
So if you don't know, turf breed
breed the
up here,
likes of.
they're a conglomerate of turf farmers, I suppose, who got together and then made their own corporation sort of thing, or a corporation has signed them up to grow crops for them, kind of like Lawn Solutions do.
Yeah.
They're opposition. Okay, so Lawn Solutions have in Brisbane you have Twin View, you've got
The
Jim
best way to
Boonda, you've got
consider
you
them
know.
would be a network of turf growers across
Yeah.
Australia.
Yeah. So Turf Breed are one, Lawn Solutions are another one.
And then the Green Space Co-op is another.
Green
So
Space
there's
is another.
probably three. I'd say Lawn Solutions would be the biggest
Yep.
one, and probably the one that people would know of the most.
Yeah,
'cause-
because they do Sir Walter, they do Tiff Tuff,
Yeah,
they
and
do.
Sir Walter
Sir
for a
Grange.
long time in Australia was the #1 selling turf grass.
Yeah.
And the reason it sold well, and I believe it's probably one of the great grasses if you think about it historically, because it sold from as far north
Look
as
at this
North
goose.
Queensland all the way down to Victoria.
Yeah. We know Nadine.
Yeah, we
We've
know.
already
We know.
discussed it.
We've mentioned it, Nadine.
We've
Now,
already sworn at you.
get back in your cheap seats.
Yeah, tell the team, just hats for all the boys.
Yeah,
Yeah.
hats for the boys.
McLaren hat, please.
McLaren hats for the boys.
Danny Rick's shoey boot, please.
Yeah. So,
Massive tub of lollies, yeah, there is.
so yeah, like you get Lawn Solutions have Sir Walter, Tiff Tuff. They've got some
Sir Grange.
Sir Grange. They've got more zoysias coming through. They've got some specific like sports turf zoysias and cooches coming
Yeah.
through.
So
Um,
we'll have a chat with Mick
Yeah, Mick Sutton
Mick Sutton
in late May.
in late May with probably a doctor,
Professor
professor.
Brian Schwartz, and for those playing at
We've
home,
got that lined up.
Brian bred Tiff Tuff.
You're
So,
right.
yeah, he's the guy.
He
who
is the
bred
guy.
Tip
So
Tuff.
like if you've got that in your backyard, your front yard, doesn't matter. This is the guy that he worked on all this project work with other doctors from the University of Georgia, and they came up with.
You've done more
Tip
tests
Tuff.
than Queensland Health.
True.
Just stirring the pot, which the turf pot.
Yeah.
So-
Yep.
Yeah, well, Michelle, you're invited. That's cool. Well,
Yeah.
it's on the mainland.
Yeah.
we're gonna.
I'll have to pick you up.
I think it's gonna be. It'll be a
It's
Redcliffe,
at Redcliffe Stadium, so
which is where that'll be.
at the Morton Stadium.
Bronx played there on the weekend. Just don't watch the footage.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's where the Dolphins will.
Yeah.
The new NRL team will play.
It's the
Brisbane
Warriors'
Roar
home,
home ground.
the
And the-
Warriors' home ground.
Primary reason it's there is it's one of the major stadia in Australia that has Tiff Tuff.
Yeah.
So it's a good opportunity for Brian to explain to us about the process that you go through in R&D to breed a grass.
Yeah.
Like what does it entail
Yeah.
Yeah.
to take it from early inception all the way through to it being sold into the market
Yeah.
and to big stadia like that.
So, Turfbreed are bringing out a new variety, iron cutter. It's a new, what they're calling it, an elite hybrid Bermuda grass. So you'll see iron cutter as a
Heavily marketed.
heavily marketed variety coming to the market soon. So why would they do that?
Why would they bring that in?
Yeah, is it because Oh, my theory is they'll bring something new and flashy to the market because they're getting out competed by another variety,
Yeah, well,
or theirs is not selling well, or it's not performing well, so they'll look to a new variety to
I think so. Like
get
it's
their
like
market share back, or
well, you think about like, and I'll probably use like cars as a metaphor. There's car manufacturers around the world, and they're striving for better and better cars, more fuel efficiency, electric vehicles, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
So too in the turf industry. So we have the likes of Lawn Solutions, Green Space Co-op, Turf Breed, striving to bring out better turf grasses onto the market
yeah,
because they want to sell the best.
because that means
quality
profit.
products.
We're
Well,
getting down
it's
to
that, but
marketing and profit,
yeah,
basically.
that, but it's also selling the best quality products to the market that they possibly
Yeah.
can. And so it's a competitive market. It's a tight space. And
If
so,
it's not a good product, it'll get found out and people won't buy.
Well, that's why they do all the testing, right?
Exactly.
well,
Yeah.
I think that's the thing. Like we don't know that, and so you get a lot of independent testing. So there's probably only one trial. There's probably a few trials that currently exist in Australia that are truly independent as far as turf grass testing does.
Yeah.
Um,
So Turf Breed will have their own testing guys.
they'll do their own testing.
in-house testing.
But that's
Lawn Solutions do it.
yeah, but that's not. Those aren't independent. Those trials.
No, that's
are,
right.
So what you look for if you so in the as a homeowner, essentially what you want is something that is all encompassing. You want something that is easy to mow. It doesn't grow much. We want a lot.
Good in
of-
shade. It's
Good
got
in
all those
shade. Yeah, it's
things.
got all these traits. So,
I think which is why Zoysia is
well, why
getting
they
pushed-
why they're starting to push the agenda
Yeah.
there. The challenge is it's still early days for Zoysia. They're still trying to find something that's just aggressive enough to deal with the incompetency of how majority of homeowners manage turf grass. You know,
Yeah.
like, I think with Zoysia, there is this certain level of impatience. You know, I think with like the Sir Grangers, the other Zoysia Mitchellas, you need to give it at least 2, if not 3 years to let it establish.
yeah,
And then you do see the traits that have been proven through research and development.
yeah,
You do see really deep root systems. You do see drought tolerance. You do see this unbelievable turf quality. It's difficult to even reach that with certain turf grasses.
yeah. Because
Yeah.
I remember when Zoysia's first really started getting pushed out here, there was a theory that they actually hadn't taken our UV into account when they bought them out.
Yeah,
And
well,
we were
that's
seeing a lot
still,
of burnt. We're seeing a lot of burnt, a lot of dry Zoysias because the research had been done in the US, and they said, "Well, give this a go,"
Yeah.
and it doesn't
Oh,
need to
it's
be done
still,
much.
they
And
They
then
don't have the big hole in the ozone layer above their heads.
that work still needs to be done. No
Yeah.
one's done that work. I've thought for a long time that work needs to be done.
yeah,
Because I've shown that turf grass is at field capacity, but it can still look like it's wilted.
yeah,
You know what? That's to me. That's sunburn. You know, so that's what turf research is. It's trying to find out some of these answers, like why does certain other grasses perform better than others? But I think, you know, I don't want to talk about like. So we've got these 3 companies and they're bringing out grasses. I think it's a good thing for the industry. I think we're lucky the pace at which they're bringing them out. I feel like we're seeing some of these grasses more quickly than even what some of the US people that live the next state over are seeing them. So home at
These
30
grasses come out just as quick as TaylorMade released drivers.
Yeah.
All
Like-
the time.
yeah.
Well, yeah, but I think they
28
do
sheets of carbon.
they do pin their hat on specific grasses, and there's a good reason for that. Like you look at, all right, let's look at Lawn Solutions, right? So Lawn Solutions have brought out Sir Walter, and Sir Walter was there for 20 years,
Killed
longer,
it. Yeah.
longer, and they stuck to that because they knew it was good for
Yeah.
homeowners. They knew homeowners could look after it.
It's
They knew turf growers could grow it. So too, the reason they brought out Tiff Tuff and Sir
think you did.
Grange is because they believe that they're the right thing to bring out for the industry, and I think
Yeah.
they are. I think I don't think that they're going to release grasses readily after that, because I think they believe that those grasses
These
are the
are the
right
next.
thing, and I
If you
think
look at Tip Top, like the average punter, the average homeowner doesn't have a yearly nutrition plan.
Yeah.
They'll just go and throw bit of further
Well,
around
see-
before it rains, or
Feed
they'll
the
spray some,
I think
or they'll spray some weed and feed on it every 6 months.
I think
and that's okay.
I think a big challenge, and you look at the kind of costs, like the reason people pay more for something like Tiff Tough is the work that's gone in behind the scenes on that. That took
Yeah.
20 years to breed. That's 20,000 accessional crosses. By that I mean like that's crossing two turf grasses together, growing them out in fields and like doing crosses and crosses and crosses and crosses, and then picking the best of the best of the best
Yeah.
of the best. That's how long that process took. And then once they came up with that, then they ran trial work on that.
Started to trial.
And so that trial work went through ANTEP
Yeah.
trials, which
Yeah.
ANTEP stands for National Turf Grass Evaluation Program.
Yeah.
And so all these new grasses coming out onto the market in their species groups go through ANTEP trials. And so
which is in the US.
yeah, and so
But then
there's
they're starting to bring them here and doing more research on them here
Yeah.
before they get released.
yeah, but the challenge is the funding's different. So the ANTEP trials are generally done at universities in the States.
Yeah.
And so the universities carry a lot of cost, but it's also in their interest because
They get royalties out of it.
they get royalties. So like if you buy Tiff Tough, essentially, at some point in time, Tifton or University of Georgia, who bred Tiff Tough, and Brian, it helps fund. He'll get a small cut of that,
Yeah.
and that'll help him breed bigger and better turf grasses
Yeah.
for around the world. Because Tiff Tough, to give you an idea,
Tiff Arnold.
is classic is the second biggest royalty seller of all time at Georgia University.
Right. What's the biggest?
A pharmaceutical. I couldn't tell you what it is, but that's
Viagra.
an amazing statistic if you think about it, because these unis are, and I'm talking like these are big 8 unis, like we're talking like Georgia, Texas A&M, places like
Michigan.
Oklahoma State, Florida University, like these big state unis.
Yep.
They have turf breeding programs, and they breed these turf grasses, and then they put them in through these ANTEP trials. But what I was getting to is the uni does a fair bit of the legwork, but the US Department of Agriculture fund a lot of it.
Yeah.
Our federal government, or our state governments, fund bugger all as far as
So
research.
it's the,
and
like the grower,
The
or
grower,
the, con-
and
the
so
lawn solutions.
in
of
a
the
way,
turf breed
it's
or-
these grower groups that are
Yeah.
actually forking out the bill for us, and that's why we should pay $12 a metre for the turf,
Yeah.
because they've spent so much money
Thousands.
developing it for us. So I think we're actually pretty lucky. We're actually, well, a lot of the research gets done in the US for us, and we're just doing kind of versions and extensions of that. So I visited a trial site today at Cusack. So Matty Oliver, the curator there, has set up all the major commercially available cooches, common cooches, and what I mean by common cooches is just your straight cooch and then hybrid cooches, which are like Tiff Tough,
Yep.
Tahoma 31. Iron Cutter's not in there. I'm sure it'll be there down the track because it's only coming out now. The challenge with all these grasses is what you actually trial.
Yeah.
What are you looking for? Because Matty's trial data at Cusack isn't relevant to a homeowner.
That's
Yeah.
right.
It's totally not relevant because he knows what he's doing nutritionally.
Yep.
He knows what height he cuts at day to day. He knows how many times he's supposed to cut of the week.
How much clipping comes off every single one of them.
He knows how much primo he's supposed to put on every single week, or growth regulator, shall I say. He knows his renovation program. He knows how to aerate. Everything is managed like a high-end sports field there.
He's a super.
And so that trial data is relevant on some level to commercial sports turf.
Yeah.
It's got little to no relevance to a homeowner.
So the testing they do for a homeowner, we'll say Iron Cutter or Tahoma 31, that's done by those companies or by the universities.
Yeah, it's more.
It's in very controlled environments. Like you
Yeah.
wouldn't be able to do it.
Yeah. So
At home.
Michelle and I.
Yeah, at home.
Michelle and I used to work for a company called STRI, so Sports Turf Research Institute.
Yeah.
Michelle was a consultant, so Michelle would go around and consult external of the main site, and STRI was down at Redlands, which is on the east of Brisbane, and I ran the research R&D program there. And so I was doing trial work for the likes of big seed companies, and I was also doing trial work for the likes of Lawn Solutions as an example.
Yep.
And major sports stadiums such as Wimbledon.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
St Andrews.
And trial work for Wimbledon's a good example, and but we were essentially independent of Lawn Solutions because what these companies want to show is that their grass is the top performer, but they don't want to do it in house because people will think, oh, they're foiled. Yeah, there's bias by them doing it in house, and so Lawn Solutions commissioned SGRI and said, here's our grass, compare it against all the other good ones. We want to know if it's the most drought tolerant. We want to know if it's the most wear tolerant and the most shade tolerant, and if it's in wear and shade, or if it's droughted, worn, and in shade, like all these different interactions. So we designed this trial, and then I moved on to ICL, and that trial work is now being released.
Yeah.
And so that's probably the most extensive trial done on sports turf Bermuda grasses that has genuine relevance to homeowners in Australia. It's the only one that's been done. And so if you want something to fall back on currently and you're unsure about turf grasses to get, I'd start and look at that research because that's rigorous. Someone putting it on their lawn, and I've done it. I've put Tahoma on my lawn. I've put photos up. It looks awesome. But we don't fully know how that grass performs yet. Until that extent of trial work, and I know Green Space Co-op, they are going to go through that extent of trial work. I'm sure Turf Breed are going to go through that extent of trial work, independent trial work. But until that's done, these grasses aren't proven yet. The only one that we know anything worthwhile about is Tiff Tuff and all the other grasses it competed against.
For Australian conditions.
For Australian conditions. That has relevance to homeowners, not to community, like not to.
And that can only really be done independent testing by likes of the STRI. You can't.
Yeah, well,
you can't ring up Bill down the street and say, "Listen, I'm going to
no
200 square meters at you." And
no, because
you tell me if you think it's good.
All right, so let's look at so Tiff Tuff has a Smart Approved watermark as an example. The only way you can get that Smart Approved watermark tick is independent researching and data and scientifically valid trials. And so proper trials that are designed where you have repeated measurements.
Very quality controlled environments too, aren't they?
Everything is known. Like everything is known.
Down to the absolute points.
And the only thing that isn't known is what happens to these grasses when you test them under a different variable. But you implement those treatments. So you go, okay, we want to test this to shade. And so you put shade on it, and then you still have to standardize the shade. So you have to measure how much shade that is. And so we knew that it was 60% shade that grass was growing under. We know what the droughted period was for that grass. So we could say this grass performed at the top level at 21 days without water, and this is how the moisture tailed out. And you can show it. So the data shows that. Whereas someone goes, oh, it's really drought tolerant. What does that mean? You know.
So it's
I didn't water it for 4 days when I was at home, and I forgot because it was.
It's looking through the marketing and the spin, because a company will get a new variety and they'll test it against others in different conditions.
Come out all the time,
and they'll pick and choose which ones that it did well at and say, oh, it did this against this, and then it did this.
And
there's no consistency.
That's the challenge with if you look at some like the marketing, like there's these.
That's my life in one. As a salesperson.
So there's marketing fact sheets on grasses. And then if you're a nerd, a turf nerd, like we all are, you can actually go and read the Antep stuff. And one thing you'll realise, above all, is there's so many grasses out there. Like in one Bermuda grass trial in one location, there might be 30 grasses.
Well, Mick Sutton, from memory, looks after 30 odd different zoysias for lawn solutions.
Yeah, that's what he said at SMA.
And Matty Roach, who owns Turf Finder, Australian Sports Turf, I used to work with Matt long ago, and I used to manage these turf plots, which was a demonstration library. And every plot was 6 square metres, and we had 138 different cultivars. There was 21 different species in there. And then there was something like 10, there was 10 greensgrass Bermudas. There was like 35 common cooches and like 15 hybrid like sports turf cooches, and then there was like 10 Zoysia japonicas, like empire type grasses, and then there was like 7 Zoysia matrellas. Like there are a lot of turf grasses out there.
University of Queensland's got a heap too, haven't they?
University of Queensland has what's called a eco-type collection. So back in the like 2010 through 2009 through to kind of 2012, they ran a lot of trial work on natural or what's considered naturalised.
Mitchell, I'll
green
steer him
cooches.
towards your question in a second.
So they went around Australia and collected 1,800 different types of green cooch. They could have been hybrids, or they could have been.
What about coal port cooch? Remember
Yeah,
that?
no, like,
Cold pork
no,
goods, yeah.
Coal port cooch.
I
When I worked at the
remember.
when I
Yeah.
worked at the
Yeah.
coal port, I found some green cooch that had been growing on one of the
Haul
access
road.
roads.
The haul road, I
On the
remember.
access road that had been like trampled over by bulldozers and by cars. It had only ever received whatever fell out of the sky and
coal dust.
coal dust for food. And it
And-
was
and
growing
so-
and it was flourishing. And I said to Wal, took a picture, I said, we should get some of this. And he goes, yeah, get some. And then I forgot. And I
That-
got made redundant.
That is the perfect example. So like, I've been to the States before, and it was more northern hemisphere, so it was Chicago, but they were talking about how do you do like the USDA, the guys who select grasses, and the unis that select grasses, like people like Brian Schwartz, that initial parent stock. How do you find that? And they were
Yep.
talking about places to go that are high stress, cemeteries.
Hmm.
No one waters unless it's a lawn cemetery that gets irrigated. But like the grasses that grow between the as morbid as it sounds, the grasses that grow between the graves at a cemetery. If you find a beautiful prostrate, really deep coloured green looking cooch
Yeah.
amongst everything else that's brown and killed in the middle of a drought, that's a great chance selection to pick that up. And so Sir Walter is a chance selection.
Yeah.
That was someone like, because back in the day they used to grow what was called these old ST varieties, and some of the fanatics probably have them in their lawns, because back in Sydney they had these old ST and they had a number after them.
Mm.
And Sir Walter was like this off-type found in an ST paddock that was greener and had all these traits that were good for a home lawn.
Yeah.
And that was what ended up becoming Sir Walter.
Crazy, eh?
And so a lot of these grasses, these initial grasses, start as chance selections.
Yeah.
And then so Tahoma 31, I think, is a question that's come up. Tahoma 31 started as a chance selection from an open woodland forest in really high altitude, really cold area that looked like really promising cooch grass. Or that wasn't Tahoma 31, that was one of the parent varieties that has now become Tahoma 31. And so it probably had cold tolerance in its DNA.
Mm.
That's now become even more through plant breeding.
So,
Take a breath
well,
for 2 seconds, well.
Yeah, I'm excited.
thoughts on it for a home? It's going into houses at the moment, so look, it's been through that NTEP testing in the States,
Yeah, and it
performs well there.
I think I've said someone has put up things about these hybrids, and the best way to describe these hybrids is they're all friggin' good. Like, excuse the language, we're almost past 7:30, but they're all really good. It's like splitting hairs.
Yeah.
Like it's like
Are they
splitting.
seven wood good?
Oh, they're up there.
Ooh.
Yeah.
But like it's.
If you don't have a 7 wood in your golf clubs,
But
in your golf
again,
bat set, you're an idiot.
again, do your own reading. Like there's 85,000 other peers on here that'll have an opinion.
Yeah.
But sometimes you get an overwhelming opinion.
And
That's because everyone's growing it in their
Yeah.
back or front yard. And if they're growing it and you go, how hard is it to grow? And they say it's easy, then why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's as good a test as ever.
Yeah.
But I think also the extent of trial work that's been done on the likes of Tiff Tough already, that's a good
And the
fallback.
quality of the testing these days, like
Yeah.
Yeah.
phenomenal. From what I've learnt from you over the years of the R&D that goes into even developing the trial. Like it's not just the R&D that happens during the trial.
Yeah.
It's the R&D of planning the trial.
It's the thought
Is
process of-
beyond
yeah.
anything they would
Some
have
of
had
these
20 years
trials,
ago.
like I think that trial that Lawn Solutions did, that was a long process to get that trial set, because I set that trial, then moved, and then the trial happened.
Yeah.
But it was developing that trial in such a way that you could get a lot of information on the one trial site. So
Yeah.
you can get shade, you can get drought, get wear, which is big rarity in turf grass research. Normally you can get 1 or 2 things.
Yeah.
To get 3 is pretty hard to do, and to control that is even more difficult. And so like to set that up and write those kinds of protocols and think about, what if it rains 400 mil and we get all this surface water across the trial, it voids all the data. Oh, we have to put drainage in. Oh, what if the shade structure rips? Oh, we have to work out how we're going to make sure that that's tensioned up so it never rips. Like just all these little details.
How do you do drought tolerance in southeast Queensland when it might bucket down rain and
Well,
an
we
inch
get
and a half in 10 minutes?
Put 1.2
Yeah.
meters in 8 weeks.
Yeah.
And also like even simple things like if we put covers over it, like as in like rain out covers over it, what's the emissivity like? So how easy does light get through that?
Say that
The
again.
what?
The emissivity.
There you go, Benny.
So
Get
like
that
the
in here.
clarity. So like with glass winds, you worked in the glass.
Yeah.
Everything's got a clarity,
Yeah, that's
basically,
right.
and it
And
actually
how much
it does diffuse the light,
Yeah.
and so people go, oh, I grew it in a shade house. It seems to be growing funny. You know, you've got the conditions right, but your light's cut by a bit. And what you'll find is like even perfectly clear glass can cut the light by about 10%.
100%.
And so if you have like a poly weave, sometimes that can cut the light by about 20%.
Yeah.
And so you're actually not truly growing in full sun. You're growing it in kind of 80% sun, 20% shade.
Yeah.
Um,
So Tahoma for sports field. It's gone on a sports field up here recently, hasn't it?
I think there's some trial work underway.
Sydney Uni's done it for a sports field. They sprigged it.
Yeah, they did a whole
Daryl
field.
Davidson down there did a whole field.
You know, kudos to them. It's a brave move, but it looks to be paying off.
Is it
already.
really that brave? Because
Yeah, well, you look at these grasses have track records in the States.
Yeah.
You know, and so that's another fallback.
so
Um,
Tahoma's been tested as a putting green grass.
yeah,
and
that
they're-
data's just
been
recently been released.
and they're
it's-
looking at trial sites in Australia to trial some greens with Tahoma 31 because for a putting green, if you and it survives very nicely at 3 mil. If you've got your surround as Tahoma, your fairway is Tahoma, and your putting green is Tahoma, you don't have encroachment.
Yeah, and we were talking about that before for smaller courses that have a tight layout, small greens, you're fighting weeds.
Better longevity for your green, mate.
Yeah, well, you probably will have a grass that's more versatile because you can do a miss.
But you also
just
don't have to cut out the whole surround and replant it with bent grass. It just
Yeah.
keeps on.
You're just cutting into the same
That's right.
grass. So
Yeah.
there's a huge upside to having a one grass system. It's crazy when you think about it.
Compared to,
That's a bit of a utopia in golf, really, if you can crack
especially
that.
for the supers.
Yeah,
Like
Yeah.
if they're only managing one turf variety in the
Yeah.
whole place.
yeah,
You
yeah.
know?
Nick wants to know how you added 2 different grasses into breed.
Yeah,
Mitchell
so,
has answered that. You put a speaker on the lawn and you play some Barry White.
That's right.
Turn the lights
Can't
down,
get enough
get some
of your
candles,
there's different
a little lawn
methods.
lube.
We have grass here that's got a seed. It's got inflorescence on it, and it's also got seed on it. So if there was another, and see, carpet grass doesn't seem to mutate to the extent that, say, a common Bermuda, a lot of people on the page have wintergreen as an example.
Yeah,
Wintergreen,
Special types.
wintergreen initially was actually a cultivar.
not me.
And then people just started calling off types of common cooch wintergreen because it was just a good name.
Yeah.
Because when those naming rights went, people were just calling any cooch in their location wintergreen. But
that's one of the turf growers, turf conglomerates did that.
Yeah.
So it'd be whatever cooch you buy in Brisbane would be wintergreen.
Yeah.
But if you bought the same name cooch in South Australia, you'd get Santa Ana.
Yeah.
So it wasn't the same. It was just whatever grew best in that area.
Yeah. And so wintergreens, you'll see some of the older common Bermudas are classic for it. And so
Orange.
grass will throw a flower head.
Don't want to mix up a taste.
If that grass has the right chromosomal count, meaning that it's not sterile, so it'll be a haploid, which means you can cross to 2N by a 2N, and then it creates a 4N, which is a tetraploid, and that's a sterile hybrid. Okay, so you have a inflorescence, and nearby can be a grass that is throwing pollen, and all of a sudden a bit of wind blows, touches this grass, and
Boy grass.
to explain the
touches the girl grass.
yeah,
That's right.
yeah, basically like in here somewhere there might be a stamen. You can't see it; it's too small. But then all of a sudden that cross has happened, and then this seed gets produced, and that seed is what you get called in breeding a progeny. So that seed is the little carpet grass that gets dropped, and then that's what's called an F1 hybrid. So the progeny becomes a hybridized grass, and it grows, and all of a sudden you've got yourself
Some DRS.
Butte new grass, carpet grass club OG. Woo! No.
Can someone call the doctor? We need to check his blood pressure. So true.
Yes.
Yep. Yeah, Sal's laughing.
It's supposed to be on.
So much longevity.
There we go.
So yeah,
Just turn the
that gives you
temperature
an
down a bit.
example of one, but there are artificial methods where they do things like radiation, and it can speed up that process. They can do hand intercrossing, which can speed it up even more. If you have a really good parental variety, where it's basically case in point like that Tahoma parental
You've killed
line,
him.
or even like
You've killed him.
probably the Tiff Tough parental line.
Yeah.
Grass
What they'll do is they'll get that parental line and they'll grow a massive long strip of it, and then they'll put other promising lines but small plots of it next to it,
Next to it.
and then they'll let it just
Do its thing.
that cross with that.
Any wonder Clint was onto something with this lawn hub, eh? There's just so many references to go on
Mate,
forever.
Yeah,
So good.
shout out to Lawn Hub.
Yeah.
yeah.
Discount code AUSLF.
Yeah.
Because it blows my
Shout out
mind
to,
too, Nick, and that's why I love grass so much.
Water Pro.
Water Pro.
Same discount code.
Yeah.
Plant Doctor. Same discount code.
Yep.
Lawn Care Supplies. Same discount code.
We
Yeah.
might
Big Green Shed. Same discount
we
code.
might get Brian to do. Well, we probably want to keep it high level, but we might get Brian to do tell us about some of the artificial methods that they use at George Uni on how they grease up the foot. No.
While we're doing product shout-outs, Lukey from Mowmaster, if you want yourself one of these hats, the Lenny, what? Are you okay? You don't have your Mowmaster hat on.
No, it's like it's
He's
fell
got
apart this morning when I
He's
put it
got
on.
a full restock in his shop. So if you want to buy Mowmaster hats, I can vouch for the grey floppy is a great lawn mowing hat. Good all
I've got the
around
floppy.
sun protection.
I got the floppy. It's still unworn because I can't put earmuffs on when I'm mowing with it. That's the only reason I can't. Now the floppy hat,
Yeah.
the old Greek chapel.
I
Yeah.
just said send me the biggest one
Classic.
you've got, and I put the headphones on, and it fits over the top of my head.
I'd wear
Wow.
one of the neck.
Oh yeah.
Things?
Yeah, protect your neck.
Yeah. Well, because I cover up pretty much everything. So I just put the neck thing on, cap on, earphones on, and then I pull the neck thing up over my head, sort of tuck it in, and away I go.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, I delivered a Mowmaster today.
Did ya?
I did.
Yeah, good. What? R22 or
R22 split rear roller with an 8-blade reel.
was that like? Did you know the code on my garage door?
No. You've sent it to me before. I don't know the reason, but
So where'd you put it? Where'd you leave it?
well,
No.
I can actually through our big green shed. I
Yeah,
can, I
good.
can sell Mowmasters. So if you want a price on a mowing, hit me up.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow. They may have to do that soon.
G'day, John. John Heyman.
John.
Johnny. All right.
Yeah, you can have a new Mowmaster. You ante up with the coin, then I'll organise it for you.
Yeah.
12-week wait on a Mowmaster at the moment.
Or
12-week
You
wait.
can enter the competition. No,
Yeah.
to get a brand new
Scotty.
Oh,
Scotty.
Scotty Bonner. Yeah, let's just we'll wind that up soon because it's getting to the point where it's paid for itself. So go to the Fanatics website, which is australianlawnfanatics.com.au. Go to the merch shop. There's only one thing you can buy. It's a ping pong ball. What that is you buy a ping pong ball, it'll be entered into a race. If your ping pong ball and like your order number gets written on the ball, so if your ball wins the race, you win a fully restored 20-inch Scott Bonner
Wow.
twin deck. a Scott Bonner Edger, fully restored, and a
In your choice of colour, right?
and your choice of colour. Well,
Yeah.
whatever Luke can do for you,
Yeah, that makes sense.
that's close enough
Yeah.
that you're happy with.
Yeah, hot pink.
Yeah,
How good.
yeah, whatever. And a Makita leaf blower with charger and battery.
Nice.
Thanks,
For-
Sir.
and
Michelle bought 60 ping pong balls.
No, she didn't. She bought 4.
Got ya.
Spitting out the dollars for the Moe was the best thing Benny Cameron.
And this is coming from an ex-Scotty fanatic.
I know.
How
Yeah.
many, Benny, just put in here, you don't have to tell your wife, but how many Scotties did you have
Benny
at
lives
one
on
time?
a hill, eh? He just opened the garage and just pushed him out.
That's right.
I went, I've got a Moe now. No.
I've got a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did not. Did not. Yes, you did. You bought 4. Yeah, so $10 for a ping pong ball. That's your
I
entry into
can't
the
wait
race.
for the race.
redneck race
Oh,
is
It's going to be all time.
we're still actually looking for a slipper
about
dip
it.
that's going to give us a
Locality.
decent.
Yeah, massive. It's going to be big.
Macca's. Macca's slides.
Beers will be
Well,
had.
how's Mac is going to be walking in with the backpack bar on?
it would make it even better.
We could get
have
him
to
a
do it
spon-
real
we get him
quick.
to sponsor it, surely. Cheeseburgers for the
do
boys.
they?
I was thinking, like, if it's
50-cent cheeseburgers today, by the way.
I heard that 350k they handed out.
he was somewhere near 15 at one point.
Wow.
Thoughts on the best real mower for $3,000.
That's getting close to just spending a little bit more and getting a Moe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Take a little bit more and get a Mowmaster. For $3,000, you'll easily get a Super Swift.
Super Swift.
You'll easily get a 20-inch Super Swift. You'll easily get a 20-inch Cox.
When you're spending that price range,
Well, they're like 1800,
you kind
1900.
of, but you could be in between
Yeah,
two price,
you're
but
in
you're
between.
almost at like premium mower territory, or even used greens mower.
Greens mower.
I
Yeah.
think what was there? I saw someone
It was a
post
Jacobson.
A Jacobson
with the
almost
groomer and
brand new
everything. It was like
with everything you could ever
5.
want.
It was 5.5,
5.5.
but still.
But they're like
But
20 or
you're
something.
kind of like in this weird territory between like almost like
Well,
a
the thing is,
glorified
with
domestic mower.
the newest Super Swifts, they got what 5-year warranty these days?
4.
4-year warranty.
Cox have got a 4.
4-year warranty.
How do you?
So, like, if you're at the point where you're going to spend $3,000 on a restored Scotty with no warranty,
Yeah.
or a Super Swift, basically the same mower, but with
Oh.
a brand new motor,
I'm-
and you get a 4-year warranty out of it.
I'm a bit jaded by the whole Scott Bonner thing. To be honest, I am, because they say, "Oh yeah, but they've lasted 50 years." If they were used for a year and then parked up in the corner of Dad's shed, and then not used for another 40 years,
That's right.
they haven't lasted 50 years. They've just been parked up because they couldn't find anyone to sharpen it.
That's right.
Yeah, that if you look at like the size, the quality of the steel, and
Yeah, I
that,
wish they had hour counters on them.
like the steel's nowhere near like compared to some of those small commercial type. Even the
No.
MEYs are like I don't know. What
Oh,
they're
have a look at
fetching.
mate. Have a look
Dude,
at Alro.
My
Have a look at
MEY
MEY.
is 4mm plate.
Yeah.
The whole
Yeah.
thing.
But the
It's so heavy.
Moes aren't far off that, are they?
Yeah, I think they're
No,
three,
the same.
three or
Yeah.
4mm
Well,
plate.
I
Yeah.
got a Mowmaster reel sharpened, and because I bought it second hand, and it was the one that Stevie Moo's got at the moment.
Yeah.
And the guy said it took him 3 hours to grind it to get it square because it was globed. It only ever been backlapped. It was globed.
Is that
so
the one that we were trying to backlap that day and we were like,
No,
No,
that was
the
that's the
scalping.
one that Lukey's got.
Yeah.
Luke.
Yeah,
Luke's got
okay.
it.
Speaking of Stevie Moo,
Yeah,
I got an old Richmond, which is from one of the suburbs in the States.
but anyway, the steel is that hard in the Mowmaster blades that it took him
3 hours.
3 hours to
grind
get it square.
Well, similar kind of thing. So, on the weekend from Stevie Moo's place, I picked up an old school push, no motor or anything, old school
Yeah.
push. Thing weighs about 40 kegs,
Yeah.
and it's just simple, but it's all cast like steel, like it's solid, and we backlapped it by hand.
Yeah.
Malacca and I. Manny Helicos, shout
Manny
out
Helicos.
Hey,
to the
Manny.
Flying Greek.
The
We
great man.
backlapped
Jeez,
it by hand.
top 5 best blokes in the world. He really is.
It took us like an hour of just turning this thing, just to get a face on it, and then we were like, let's just file it. We had to file it to actually clean up the face because the steel was so hard. And then
Wow.
it cut paper, and the cut was unbelievable. And we were looking at it going, this is surely how like those old school like lawns in front of it, like the Queensland blue lawns in front of the massive palatial Queenslanders was
Yeah.
mown.
Yeah.
Because you could just see how clean it was. Like, it was just mint. Yeah.
So where were we? Dan, you can look at Super Swift. The Bush Ranger is now coming out.
Bush Ranger
Rebadged.
suit, yeah.
Super Swift, Bush Ranger, same dog, different leg action, different colour handlebars. The Cox, check out Alro. They're a little bit better, a little bit heavier.
They're like belt driven as well.
Yeah, they're Western Australian made.
Yeah.
So
MEY are
Heavy-
reproducing
heavy
now.
is-
I think they're
yeah,
the
MEY.
smallest
They-
MEY is around 3K. I think.
They're coming out.
size are they?
They're coming out of
I
the
think they're
same
18s.
the same shed in Western
They
Australia
are
as the Alros.
Okay.
But mate, yeah, just up your budget a little bit. Get a Momaster or an MEY.
Yeah.
You'll never regret it, and it'll last forever and a day.
Yeah. It will work its whole life, and it still will be going in 50 years, like they say that the Scotties will.
Protea now have a heap of dealers in Queensland, yeah, but do they have any stock?
Yeah, do they
No.
have stock? Come talk to us when there's stock on the floor.
The thing
other
that's
thing
holding
I-
Protea back in Australia is the distrib.
Well,
Is the service
just-
of
I
the
also,
distributors
I also heard, the dealer support's just not very.
trash.
Yeah. Okay.
the distributor.
Yeah.
All Mower spares.
Yeah.
Same plates. Did I say anything? Yeah, no.
True.
Everyone knows.
Yeah.
Stock is coming. Stock is coming out, leaving 12th of April.
Yeah.
All right.
So,
that's
they have to.
9
They
months
sell
away.
they sell a container. You have to wait until they've sold a full container load
For them to order it.
for them to order
Yeah,
it,
I know.
and then
Really?
yeah.
That's how they do it.
They
That's how
don't
they
bring
do
it
it.
They don't
out
bring
and
the
then
container
sell
and
it
sell
here.
it.
No,
No.
they'll sell you a mower.
Yeah.
You have to. If you're the first one in the container, you have to wait until the last one in the
Oh my
container is
God.
sold before your mower
I wouldn't have a job.
is even
if
put in the
I-
container.
I don't know how they survive.
Like, how does it work?
It's that world shipping for everyone playing at home at the moment is just out of control too.
Mm.
So is the world fur market, but world shipping, it's like 10 months to get something worthwhile, and that's like a minimum.
Yep.
Yeah, cool. All right, so I think we sort of run out of energy.
Yeah.
Any questions? Anyone got any questions?
I think there was something at the very top when Wal was just literally talking under scuba gear for a little while.
Am I scrolling?
I was
things?
getting excited about plant breeding.
How good is it?
Oh, it's so
I
good.
love it.
Manny's on. Hey,
Oh, Manny!
hey, you bloody lunatic.
It's been weird seeing no Gary popping up today. He must be still. in
No,
the UK.
no. Gary is home.
Oh, is he?
He's just having a bit of time with the fam.
Mm.
Gary's made it home. Got home a couple of days ago. He messaged me to say that he's home. So
Yeah,
shout out
nice.
to Gary. We're all still thinking of you, mate. Tough time, but good to see you back. And he did say to me that coming home for a POM, he said coming home to Australia is the best feeling.
Really?
Yeah, he said it just
He just
Doubles
wanted to get out
down,
and mow his
just-
lawn.
doubles down every
reason
feeling
he came,
of
yeah.
the reasons that he came here.
Really?
Yeah,
Yeah.
he says just
So true.
I get
Yeah.
so homesick. Even if I go away for short periods of time, I get so homesick about.
I didn't get homesick when I was in the UK because I was so busy all the time for 3
Yeah.
years.
You can't
But when-
calendar.
I think when you're young,
When I
though,
Callan
flew back-
lavender, you can't get iron cutter. It's still undergoing testing. You won't get it.
When,
well, you could probably contact them and see, but it's up. Yeah.
when I flew in, I just lost it. Like coming back in, like flying over and I'm
Yeah.
seeing stuff, and I was just like, that was the most homesick I'd ever been in my life. But
Yeah.
I was only an hour away.
Every
But
time
it's
I've
just-
come back from overseas, going in the land, I just have this craving for a meat pie. I just always did, because you can't get them anywhere overseas.
Nah, not
Yeah,
good ones.
good ones.
Not good
What
ones.
was that one? Nelso top
Nelso.
dressing his rye overseeding. Yeah or nah?
The day he does it, like so if he overseeds and then like lightly top dresses, yeah, good practice.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
said he was going to do that.
Roll it in.
Yeah,
Make sure you send us some photos, and also,
he has been.
yeah. Also, can you do a video of your electrolysis paint removal that you're doing?
Yeah, that's really cool.
Can you do a video for that for us, Nelson?
That's
Because
like-
that was unreal cool science.
That's like circa 2004
The Curiosity
outdoor king kind of operator.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah.
Remember the Curiosity show?
What is that? What was that?
It was like an afternoon science show for kids.
Yeah, okay.
And there was a guy who looked like Peter Reith. He had the beard but
Oh,
no
yeah.
mo.
Do you remember Art Attack?
Yeah.
That weird
Yeah.
like English bloke. He's
Banksy.
like, we're gonna explode a balloon that's bigger than your house. Wow.
It was-
No.
That's who they think that Banksy is the guy from Art Attack.
that wouldn't surprise me.
Big conspiracies around that.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Interesting.
Massive thought provoker.
Well, he's just going to be playing touch and just stop and look up at the sky.
Playing touch after this for those playing at home.
Yeah.
He's dribbling on something about
Oh. Yeah, Nelso.
something on
Huge.
about I don't know, some rubbish.
Foot soccer. So it's a huge week, right? We've got
Mate,
Masters Week.
I'm telling
The
you.
F1's on in Australia, and
I'm telling
Liverpool
you,
plays City
while the
on
national
Monday
team
morning.
is called the Socceroos, it's bloody soccer.
Fair point.
Fair
Telling
point. Fair point. It's
Okay,
in the
yeah,
name.
huge
It's in the name.
weekend of sport.
Where can
Huge.
you purchase a top dressing machine? Nick, what state are you in? And how much money have you got?
Yeah, they're not cheap, just so you know.
Just so you know, I've got one and it cost me $12.5 grand.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right.
If you're in Victoria, get on a Turf Mate. They sell them. If you're in Queensland, get on the Fernlands. They sell the same thing.
Yep.
If you're on Victoria, or get Turf Mate. They're out at near Peacedale.
There's those mini top dresses that you see people bringing out, but
That's I
Are
don't
they the ones, the barrel ones that you just?
well, that's
fill
Turf
full?
Mate as well. They've got
Okay.
Landsies.
Yeah,
yeah.
lenses, yeah.
I've got a Landsy, but then there's these mini toppers that have like a hopper, and then like kind of a Landsy that rolls underneath.
Turf Mate
it.
have got them.
Yeah,
The other ones are old time parts.
yeah.
Yeah. Apparently the
But by the time you've filled the
Vacuum
hopper
sealer
and then
band on
dropped
your
it
side.
out, you could have just top dressed your lawn.
Yeah.
Especially like, I think that works if you're gonna be like top dressing, like dusting regularly or something. Like,
But those fert spreaders that can double as a duster are awesome as well.
this is a trade off. So like, if you didn't want to turf your lawn and you wanted to sprig it, and you can't sprig it with certain rows, but you wanted to sprig it, the money that you don't spend on turf, you can spend on one of those mini top dressers, and that's the reason you need a mini top dresser. And then when you finish, you just sell it. So,
well, you can
still
hire
spend
it.
the same amount of money, but
Fernlands have got that one you can hire.
Yeah.
There's that
Yeah,
one.
true.
Was it small hire or some crap?
Yeah.
I don't know. Can't
yeah,
remember.
yeah.
Anyhow, he's going to build one. Yeah, he's going to build one.
Well,
Sweet.
Wow.
once you do it, we love redneck
Do a
stuff
video on it,
the
yeah.
Fanatics.
Oh, how good's redneck stuff?
So if
Okay.
it's
Except if you're going to do edging with an angle grinder that's got wire on it.
yeah,
No.
that's wild.
Like the other day.
Don't
So
do
if
that.
it works out, send in your photo. We'll send you a sticker pack.
like Nelso's Cora.
No, send in your photo.
It's the
We'll
best way to
copy it,
level.
and then we'll patent it, and then we'll claim it as ours. No.
Well, John, if you're before lane turf, you can get it to a reasonable, but you'll never get it.
I think he's looking to
So
pick
after,
up levels.
Yeah, well, afterwards.
You can hire lasers from
Coats.
yeah, and
Cameras.
basically as long
But
as you know.
how silly do you want to get?
Yeah, but what do you want to do? Like,
Prism gauge silly. That's how silly you want
he
to
wants to get
Yeah.
silly like that robotic bowling machine top dresser that had the top con, and it was like, it was like dropping sand out, and then it'd keep driving, and then it'd find a low spot, drop more sand out, and then it realised that it needed to do the whole thing. No.
He's got some bad dips and general leveling. Is
Yeah.
it sort
Well,
of shit?
if you don't want to go down the laser route, then string lines work.
Yeah.
And then just pick up your levels. If you go like, put a peg from like where your level is to where you want to run to, and then just know that that string line's like 300 or 200 mil off where you want finish level.
Yeah.
And so you just use a tape measure and go, oh, here needs sand, add sand, and then you run an initial kind of
And then-
screed line.
Well, yeah, on your screed, you then put a 200 mil piece of timber
Yeah,
on the screed, and then bring it to the spring line when you're screeding it down.
yeah, yeah.
It works good.
So that would be probably.
We'll just get a
one of the
posi
worst.
track in with a leveling bar, and that'll be good enough for now.
And
Yeah.
then you got to fix the posi track marks after.
Yeah. So
All good.
yeah.
All right. Get Lenny over with the top dressing machine.
Turf Mate have got some 36-inch lawn levels.
Yeah, level lawns are great.
Level lawns are great. Yeah. long straight edge and a screed. Yeah.
Yeah.
You can go to the like trade tools or something and get a nice long concrete screed.
If you want to do
That's all right.
your level quick, it's like the old school method on football pitches in the UK. You actually, make like a frame and you cut the turf out, and you like lay it on a bench, and then you fill your sand in, and you know what, you fill it in, you compact it. You use one of those like tamps. You compact it really hard, and you know what depth you're going to cut your turf, and then you make a frame for your turf, and you lay your turf in, and you cut it against the frame, so you get a perfectly depth of sod, and then you lay it back in. Finish hot, bang on, done. You need a bit of plywood. You need to make a frame up.
Sounds so hard.
It's way more hard than but if you really if you want a quick result,
Yeah.
and not muck around with like sand, you can do it that way.
Yeah, they did good on the Tahoma. They did good on the Sir Wally as well. Oh no, not Sir Wally.
Although we were having beers
Sir
like,
Grange.
because I laid that week leading into Christmas, and we were having beers like 2 nights before Christmas. The neighbour came over, and he's got like this designer dog, and I was like, oh, I got a dog, but he's like pretty nasty, but he's out the back, like he's a blue cattle dog, so he's like really territorial. He's a good dog. He's good with humans, but just other dogs.
Yeah. Don't come.
He's a
near me.
weapon.
Yeah.
And he's like, I didn't even know you had a blue cattle dog. He's like, can I see him? And I like took him around the back. Anyways, we were drinking more beers, and his dog was like, because he was across the road, his dog was like yelping. And I was like, yo, just bring your dog around. And he was like hesitant. He's like, no, all good. Anyways, more beers were had, and at the end of the night, my brother-in-law, who lives at the back of my house, opens the gate, and he hadn't left yet with his dog. And so there's this really soft lawn out the front of my house, and so the only imperfection in my front lawn is my neighbour just picking up his dog and just jumping the fence, trying to get out of my gate, because my blue cattle dog is like bounding towards his dog because he was going to kill him. So like there's like this imprint on my lawn of like a dog. No. It's like, yeah, it was wild.
There you go.
That is wild.
Yeah.
Right, all right. Well,
Yeah, Wally's got to play touch in
I
48
have
minutes.
laser and a 12-foot screen.
Yeah, good. People
Uh,
lending shit out.
Matt asked something earlier, but we're running out of time now.
We should just answer it quickly.
Oh, it was something about Agridark.
Oh,
Ask Albie.
Ask Albie, he's got it.
Elby's
Oh,
got
there it
it.
is. Go down.
And it's
Come on.
colour
A
and
bit more.
quality
There you go.
wise, it's the best looking at the moment in that trial at Cusack.
Oh, he's already got it, so he should know what it's like.
Ranked quite well, but yeah.
Rain we've had in Brisbane has helped it. Mate, the amount of rain we've had in Brisbane hasn't helped anything.
No.
But it's only, look, you've only had it one summer. Give it another summer to really better
You got a
itself,
cooch
innit?
that needs light. We're thinking rain, but it's actually the light that's had. It's been so low light for it.
Yeah, nice. Excellent.
All right.
All right, boys, thank you very much. Thank
Turn
you
it
to
off,
all the
Wal.
viewers at home for putting up with us again.
Done.
Wal's turn to turn us off.
Cooked.
Well, he's been
Yes, oh.
turning us on for 58 minutes. Gasol.